Ready.
Ready?
So how you keeping?
I'm good. I'm like a little overwhelmed because I'm working on 3 albums, believe it or not.
I've been checking up all about you. I know all about you.
Oh my God. I'm working on 3 albums and some come with deadlines and others don't, but it's like it's it's just overwhelming, you know. It's
Yeah.
good. I mean, it's the kind of situation, I've my whole life I've wanted to work on 3 albums. Like wow, I can do everything I've been planning to do. But when we're actually in the middle of it, it's like, how am I gonna manage, you know?
Tell us what the three albums are.
Oh, well, it started with it started in 2017, when I had an idea where I wasn't sure what kind of music I wanted to make in future. I just couldn't be bothered and I couldn't figure it out. And then little by little, I got inspiration I just watched some stuff on YouTube, and I just had all these inspirations, eureka moments about I just want to go in the studio with people and make a lot of noise and do these 4 albums in total, which have very different themes and concepts.
Wow. So you came up with the idea of doing not just a new album, but four new albums. Is that right?
4 albums, but I mean, I never thought I'd get them done anytime soon, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is the vision I have, and each
Right.
album has like a theme to
Right.
it, and
Right.
and a subject matter which I'm writing about, and a sound that I want to try. So I went in 2017. I went in with some people, just 2, 3 musicians, just doing demos for various, for a couple of the albums, just starting on stuff. Then I went to Paris and did some demos with someone there. So anyway, long story short, then sort of nothing happened because I never have any money to actually do stuff. So nothing happened for a while. And then I started, but slowly I started working on stuff, whenever I had a bit of money. So then I had some decent demos for one of the albums, and then I got some funding in Germany for one of them. So and they loved it. And I was like, oh my God, these terrible demos, and they really liked them. And so I got some funding, and then I got some more funding for another of the albums. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And it gave me I felt validated in some
Yeah.
strange
Yeah.
way.
No, of course, every artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that yeah, this is a lesson for young artists who listen to this podcast as well. And I teach students and stuff, and you know, there are many ways to make something happen. It's not all about just having a record company paying for it anymore. Very few of them do, but I mean, there are various funding streams. I know several people who've had money from, I don't know, that's not a huge amount of money, but from PRS, for instance, and stuff
Right.
like that. So it's worth
Yeah.
all that stuff seems unlikely you're going to get the funding, but then oftentimes it's like buses, they all come along at once, right? And
I don't know. It was so weird though, because also I'd sent them these demos thinking, oh, what do they know anyway? Plus my demos are crap, they're not gonna like them. And then suddenly I got this congratulations, the whole jury loved your project, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then I realized the pressure is on.
yeah, yeah.
But it's amazing. I'm about to record a string orchestra and I'm like going all the way.
Really? Great.
And
So where are you at? Where are you at with these albums at the moment?
Well, the first album, I don't know which one of the two that I'm already nearing completion is coming out first. So the first album is called Gezeitenraum, which a lot of people are already like,
What does that mean?
oh, I made it up. Gezeiten means tides,
Right.
tides,
Right.
ebb and flow. Yeah, tides. And then Raum means space or room. And it's all about,
Room
there's
flow,
a story
flow room.
to it. And what it's sort of tides, I'm locked in a concrete room. I can hear the sounds outside, but I can't see out the windows. And it's all like, and it's all about gentrification, destruction of urban environments. Like basically a big flood washes it all away. And it's about my childhood in Hamburg and how Hamburg's been gentrified.
Okay. Stop.
Right. So that's awful.
Have you had enough coffee yet? No, it's all right. I want to ask you about right. Hamburg is my favorite German city. I love it.
Mine too.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think it's the most cosmopolitan and the most. I don't know. It touches me in a different way to the rest of Germany. So tell me about growing up in Hamburg. Tell me about the vibe of that town for people who don't know.
Yeah, I mean Hamburg is known or was known for having soul. It
Yes.
was, it has the nickname the gate to the world because of the harbor.
The port, yeah.
And so I grew up with, with all manners of the whole world coming into Hamburg, bringing things from all over the world into the city. So we're talking about seamen coming in, the sailors, and I'm from the red light district. So I grew up within everything that was happening in Hamburg.
The Reeperbahn, right? More or less.
I grew up around there, very near there.
And I suppose in many ways, people often say it's the Liverpool of Germany. Would you say that?
Maybe. I mean, there was just so much soul of, it was a working class, the city of Hamburg was a working class area. Everybody knew each other, so it was a real personal environment, and also there were shops that were just so weird. There used to be a famous shop called Harry's Harbor Bazaar, and you could literally buy anything from stuffed animals to shrunken heads. I mean, literally, and as a child, that would be our Sunday walk, let's go to Harry Harbor Bazaar and buy some seashells and, a shrunken head or something,
Wow.
And a friend of mine once said to me, now I know why you're so fucked up, because it's right, because you grew up, but it wasn't fucked up at all. It was normal. And so there was it was like a treasure trove of,
I feel the same way about, I mean, our children grew up, I lived in Primrose Hill, so it's next to Camden. And so when they were tiny, we used to take them up and down Camden High Street on a Sunday morning, which is not quite as messed up as that, but that all that information goes in, all that kind of weirdness and cheek tats and strange shops, and all that stuff. It all goes in and it gets reinterpreted later, I think.
It does. And also growing up with all kinds of, the idea of trans people, or all manners of sexual orientations, or people that you don't know what sex they are. I grew up with that. To me, it's nothing new and nothing normal. So now when these bizarre, conversations come up about, are they real women? I'm like, what are you even talking about? They were already real women when I grew up.
Yeah, that's right.
Even my grandmother didn't question it, I mean, so I grew up with all this, all this like wonderful weirdness around me. And so then coming back to it now and seeing it completely destroyed and gentrified, and, investors have taken over, and it's all, and Hamburg's always been like that, because historically Hamburg, they always tore everything down to build the new.
Yes.
Well, this is how Hamburg was built, where you now have the harbor city, all the warehouses that brought the wells into Hamburg. That used to be poor people's ghettos, and they just tore them all down and sent people on their way with nowhere to go. So this is what's in that album of mine. I'm singing about that.
Interesting.
I'm singing about people who no longer have a home, then and now, actually, because I still see them now, that, there's still remnants of, the old bars that are going to be not there in 1 year from now.
Oh, I love them. The last time I was in Hamburg, I did a big concert in 3D sound at the Elf Philharmony, and
Yeah, wow.
with the Moog ensemble, Will Gregory and Adrian Utley, and we went out afterwards down to the docks, and so some of our friends from there, who were like VIP, I don't know, clients, friends of friends, they said, "Oh, you got to come to see this bar. It's incredible." And it was somewhere. It was part of the docks that you'd never go to by accident. It was a destination, and it was clearly used to be a very, very rough bar. And it's like one of those bars, and you probably know it's probably really bad.
I do know it. I know all of them.
Right. Can't remember the name, but it was like floor to ceiling with artifacts and pictures.
Right.
I mean, it was completely like being inside a madman's head. You know, I really loved it. And like maritime memorabilia and all, and it was a real salty sea dogs kind of vibe. I don't know. Have you any idea what that might be?
It could have been, oh my, there's a few of them left, you know, so it could have been, I probably wouldn't, it could have been Felsenkeller. It could have been anything. I mean, there's a few of them left, you know.
Is that like a pub crawl that you do round those?
I sometimes do, you know, but generally because I don't really go out or out drinking. So, but I do even sometimes because I do my own photography now, you know, for the album. So I go there, and sometimes I will peek into a bar that's, you know, it's not going to be there in a year from now, but you still have like 3 people sitting at the and but they'll be literally with no social circle once that bar closes, because that was their home. I mean, people have died in the red light district of Hamburg, you know, like even the old pimps, they've hanged themselves because they had no perspective after it all went pear-shaped, you know, and the investors took over and there was no more, you know, money to be made. And they ended up these sort of relics of old times, and then some of them famously hanged themselves, and you know, so there's all this. You might have gone to the Ritze, actually.
What was that?
Ritze on the
That rings a bell. That rings.
You might have gone there, but anyway, you know, so there's all this tragedy that I'm writing about in that album, and I'm doing it in my own way because I grew up there, you know, so I have my own take on it. Like, what is that all about, you know?
Tell us some wild stories of the Reaper Barn, then. What's the most strange thing you ever saw down there?
Well, the Reaper Barn to nowadays is actually a street to be avoided. You know, if you want to see the remnants of, it's a street to be avoided. You know, if you want to see the remnants of the real thing, you go in the side streets. You know, you know, which is nice because it's also quite residential there. You know. So the Reaper Barn is just about busloads of tourists, you know, carted off to chain drinking dens. You know, it's just horrible.
So she could become a parody of itself, probably. Yeah.
So I don't know what was the weirdest thing, you know. Really, I mean, the weirdest thing, one when I was a child, my grandmother, even though we grew up around then, my grandmother was really tolerant, but her daughter, my aunt, she was gay. And one day my grandmother saw her kissing a woman on the Reaper Barn or somewhere around there. And my grandmother wasn't having any of it, you know, so she went down the Reaper Barn with her handbag. He beat them up, saying, "You don't do this in my house," you know, and all this. So I mean, this was normal, you know, when I grew up. And like I say, growing up with all the different, you know, transvestites performing, even, you know, like even nowadays, I mean, there isn't really much left of it. But I remember a few years ago, because, you know, my mother and my aunts, and they all worked there as bar personnel. My mother actually served the Beatles when yeah, so I mean, and she stayed, you know, she stayed to become a bar woman, you know, and in all kinds of questionable places there. But she started out, you know, being at the top 10 and everywhere the Beatles played, you know, and anyway, you know, and one time she said, "Oh, you know, my friend Tina or Nina, she's still performing there. She's doing a little striptease, you know." So we went in, and it was sort of like, now it's probably some sort of chippy or something. Go for tourists.
Yeah.
But still like a cabaret, and it was nice. And just walking in there, and she's on stage waving her feather boa naked, going, "Hello, Bill," and it's like, it's just nice, But I mean, that's all gone now. Anyway,
I mean, all this felt impossibly exotic to a young lad from Sheffield, that and the red light district in Amsterdam, and
Yeah.
of course, we all grew up listening to Bowie singing about various, kind of underworld, underlife kind of things going on. Underlife, that's a good word. Just made that.
Right.
And
Like,
I found all that a really. I wanted to find out more about that stuff. By the way, I was going to say before we leave Hamburg, do you think the multiculturalism of Hamburg, which is quite unique in Germany, do you think that's a large part of the vibe of the town when you were growing up? I mean, did you see different cultures?
um,
Because Germany, many towns in Germany are pretty monocultural, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, yes and no, because obviously sailors were everywhere in those days. I mean, now they're Filipino guys who are really not in a good place, because now they just put 4 people from the Philippines in charge of these huge container ships, and they're on these ships for weeks with no sleep and stuff. So when they arrive in Hamburg, they actually need counseling. There's actually a place where I usually stay when I'm in Hamburg. It's called the Seaman's Mission, and they go there and they're literally crawling on their knees crying because they have seen but it used to be glamorous, and it used to be for the sailors. So, but on the other hand, I remember that we didn't, I remember as a child, um, we didn't really see black people in Hamburg or anything like that. So yes and no, we did grow up with other races, but then we didn't in this other sense. So it was like, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, let's move on to what were your early? When did you know you wanted to be a musician? I mean, as a teenager.
When I was born, when I popped out of my mother's. Yeah, I literally, when I was 2 years old, this is what my grandparents and aunts and uncles talked about as I grew up. They said that when I was 2 years old, I was sort of not really responding to people that might have been in the house, but I was sitting on my rocking horse singing to myself.
Really?
And then when I was 5 years old, I started making tapes,
Get away.
which wouldn't have been good tapes. I mean, they were just me singing children's songs. And then I would give the tape to my grandmother saying, "Could you please send this off to my favorite singer?" So I had some sort of vague sense of I wanted to be on that television. So I would see these people on television, and I wanted to be there. I just wanted to be on television. And my grandmother, she didn't know anything about this. And she sort of said, "When, yeah, 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 yeah," So I wasn't really supported in that way. But I would just, continue with my singing and making these little tapes and just dreaming, really.
Were you?
And I hadn't.
Wait, sorry. Were you taught music at school? Were you? Were you around? Were you? No, you weren't. So you weren't. You didn't have performances at school or choirs or anything like that.
No, but when I entered school, I started always singing in front of the class, which must have been annoying to teachers. But I remember pupils, my other friends, that sort of responding to me, because I would get up in front of the class and just start hollering some sort of popular song, from the radio, and then they would join sometimes, and
Right.
so I always tried to sort of be showing that, but then because I wasn't really told go for it, I never sort of really knew that I could go out and really do this. I
Well,
never
when was your first? Uh, when did you first think it might be a possibility that you could do this on a more kind of serious level?
when I left home.
Right.
When I left home at about I don't know, like late teenage years kind of thing, you
Right.
know. And I remember spending time in Berlin and actually assembling musicians around me.
So here's a really critical thing. So
Right.
you make it sound like it's the most natural thing on earth, but you are obviously driven
I
as
was
an
really,
as an individual, and that's
yeah,
an organizer, and they're like the prerequisite kind of
yeah,
skills that you need to act as a nucleation site for creativity and collaboration.
yeah, yeah. But I just pushed through. You know, when you're really young, you push through your emotions or your
Yeah.
blockages because you're young and you have to.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like you know, the Pet Shop Boys have a favorite line of mine. We could do anything. We're fearless when we're young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And I just and you might be really afraid and you don't know what you're doing and you're on your own because you've left home, but you're just going for it, you know. So that's what I did. And sometimes I came across very, you know, I mean, when I went to London, you know, I was semi-homeless there. I had to find a place to live, but I just knew I needed to do this because I wanted to be where all the bands are that like you guys, you know, this is it. I mean, this is what started us off in Berlin in our bedrooms making music. We were listening to you guys. This is really what started the whole this is what started the whole thing. So I'm like, okay, right, I'm gonna go there, you know, and
all right.
do this.
So I read that you were influenced also by people like the Cabs and Throbbing Gristle, and
Oh
which is
yeah.
quite an interestingly kind of almost avant-garde route to look at, because on the this is where we were at the same time as well. It's like on the one hand we wanted to be pop stars, we wanted to be on the TV as well, but on the other hand I felt compelled not to do something that's edgy, and
Yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah.
I think that's where the interesting membrane is, and it seems to
So
me that you're a similar kind of artist. Would that be a good analysis?
yeah, and that's why sadly I I own so many records because you can't put me in a drawer. I don't
Yeah.
fit. I've never, you know. I mean, I've occasionally when I've made a record that fitted the pop genre or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
that would then work on a wider level. But generally, I just do stuff that doesn't really work for some people. You know that
You know what that means? It means that you're an artist.
I guess. I mean, you know, when I was listening, when me and my mates, you know, when we were listening to your stuff and John Peel and you know
Yes.
things like that, and my thing was always, well, how can I combine my thing with that, you know? And you know, I was listening to the Supremes and Martha Reeves at the
Yeah,
same
me
oh,
too.
same time, like you guys did. And I was like, well, wait a minute, how does that, you know, but I don't just want to do because I was in a revival soul group and we were really big in Berlin. We were huge for while we existed. And but then I was listening to your stuff and I'm like, how do I bring those two together? And that's how it started. And then, oh, okay, I'll go to London, you know, because, and then I put you know, and then house music came along and that allowed it all to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, my soul thing, you know,
Yeah.
with the electronic music. And so that's how that all happened.
I have a question for you about you sound like a completely natural soul singer to me.
Right.
And I've worked, as you know, I've worked with some really, you know, world famous singers. But when I've been yesterday, I was in the studio listening for a couple of hours to your stuff, and you've got an amazing voice. I mean, you really have. I know there's this thing where it goes through the dance scene, and
Yeah.
vocalists have a different role in the dance world. But
Right.
really, you could do a torch album. I mean, you could do jazz if you wanted. I'm sure you have as well. And you could really approach anything. I think the closest that I'd analyze your voice to is kind of like a more kind of what's the word? It's not. It's like a more ephemeral. I don't think that's the right word, but a more ephemeral kind of Alison Moyet vibe. Whereas Alison's kind of like a mezzo soprano. You're more. You have similarly interesting and exciting inflections and coloratura, but it's more. I don't know. It sounds totally. One of my favorite words is authentic. It doesn't sound put on at all. It sounds like it's coming from.
Funny, because I see myself like just another impersonator, actually.
Really? Yeah, but that's imposter syndrome,
Maybe, but I really do. Sometimes I do some things, and when it suits my voice really well, then I think, oh, that came really natural. There are songs that I've sung, and it just came out, and that was 1000% me. Songs like, there's a song I've done, "Your Ghost Is Right Behind Me," "Talking with Myself," even by Electribe 101. Songs where I just open my mouth. Persuasion too, but there's a bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of songs where I open my mouth and what comes out is me, and the rest,
How do you write lyrics?
they just flow. I mean, I write melodies and lyrics at the same time. So I will hum the melody to myself. First time I come up with a melody, there will be some chords that I would have developed with whoever co-writes with me. So someone might give me some, I'll give them a brief, like I want to do something like Bobby Womack or Tom York or whatever trip I'm on any given day, and then I'm like, yeah, let's do this and that. No, change the chord. And, so then I'll have a bunch of chords, and then I write really spontaneously. So the lyrics and melodies come at the same time, and and I know immediately what the song will be about. And once I've got that line or that title, then I go home and sit down, and I'll spend probably a couple of days on the lyrics, and I'll tell a story, and I research and I do all kinds of stuff. But the initial sort of body of it comes in.
It's very interesting because, as you know, I've done like 80 of these now, and what the art of songwriting and the kind of methodology of songwriting of all these amazingly diverse creators is different all the time. I mean, an awful lot of electronic musicians write with guitar, for instance, and just kind of get that vibe. And so when you transcribe that into electronic music, it sounds very kind of warm and familiar, like Vince Clarke, for instance, and Andy. That's what they do.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So then some people like you kind of start with a top line melody and a lyrical idea, and then they flesh it out top down.
Right.
When we were writing, it was always the groove. We'd start with some kind of rhythmic thing, then a bass line, and build it that way. And the lyrics and the writing was the last thing that we did, and they were normally a kind of William Burroughs-esque kind of admixture of the Neds on one body, so everybody's got a different technique. Fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I can literally, which I do often now, I can go, like, say, there's a guitarist that I work with in Berlin. I can literally go around there and he plays a few chords, and I can write a song in 5 minutes, like the whole thing.
Really?
And then I'll go home and work on the lyrics some more. But I can even hear an instrumental on YouTube or a film soundtrack, and I'll instantly write a song on top, So that's how I work. And then the rest will then take some time.
Right. So where does your love for soul music come from then?
Oh, when I was a teenager in Berlin, I'd moved to Berlin, and I was into 60s garage music, the American right? I mean, the English stuff as well, but I was a collector. I was collecting, so I was like collecting 60s garage music. And then I went into a record shop where I was always buying that stuff because I knew they had it. And I was going through some records, some shelves, and the guy behind the counter came up to me and said, "Have you ever listened to soul music?" I don't know what he said. We ended up becoming friends and made music together, and I said, "Well, not," I said, "Yeah, but no, not really, And he said, "You know what? I'm going to order you a Martha Reeves and the Vandellas compilation and a Supremes compilation. Come back next week."
Yeah.
That was it.
That was.
I went home with, and it was like just a compilation, and my world changed. It just
What's your favorite Supreme song?
Oh my God.
So many good ones, I know.
Probably the obvious ones,
I like Reflections. I think that's such a beautiful song.
Yeah,
The way he kind of lifts his spirits in the chorus.
yeah.
And Nathan Jones. God, that's great.
I think probably all. I can't even pinpoint a particular one, but Martha Reeves was another. She was just so different. There was a more. Marvin Gaye once said she had a more revolutionary spirit to the sound of her voice and what she was singing. So I mean, when I heard a song by her called "Love, Love, Love," which is just like a ballad, and my whole world changed.
Really?
Well, yeah, my everything changed, and I just bought this little guitar, and I wanted to write a song like that, and things like there's a song, what's the one? Heartless. I mean, if you listen to some of my songs, Electribe 101, I just ripped off Martha Reeves and the Vandellas lyrically, and then there's a song called "I Can't Get Along Without You." And why no one has spotted that Electribe 101, "I Can't Get Along Without Your Love," is like a total ripoff of. So I was just, because I was so inspired by Martha Reeves, and so all that, then I discovered Aretha Franklin, and,
Oh, yes.
made me try to sing like that, and, but it just basically all went in.
I tell you who I think is I think is massively underrated in that scene is Gladys Knight. I think she never. I mean, of course, she's in the pantheon of kind of female soul gods, but somehow she's always a little bit not. She's never the first person that people mention as being one of the greatest.
Yeah.
I think she's not only a great singer, but there was something about the way she communicated through her voice which really appealed to me. And yeah, but anyway, I'm a massive soul fan, as you know.
But the other person who changed my life was Ann Peebles. And again, it was because I sang with her. I ended up going to Memphis and stalking all this, and Anne sang on my album 18 Karat Garbage, which is just like the greatest honor I could have ever imagined. But there was another visit to a record shop where I heard "I'm Gonna Tear Your Playhouse Down" in a record shop, and I was just mesmerized and bought the album there and then, and it just changed my world completely, and that's why I'm more into Memphis soul, actually, because I then went very deeply. To this day, this is what I'm all about, because her understated vocals, they were always a little bit like, I don't really give a shit. There was always like that little thing in there in her voice, which I'm sure wasn't her intention, but it's just that little understatement,
So here's the thing. Oh, sorry, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, she told me this story because I was in her house and they made me tea and all that, and I said, "Well, how did you write I Can't Stand the Rain?" Her and her husband, Don Bryant, and I expected this big story, about how they wrote the song, and they said, "Well, we were going to go out one day and it started raining. And I just said to Don, I just can't stand that rain." And that's the story. It's like, I love that story. That's it. And they would just sit down and jam and write that song in the kitchen.
A lot of these things are about finding something that everybody can relate to, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, and some people looking at it from the outside would go, that's a banal idea, and that's a really obvious idea. But you didn't fucking think of it, did you? Right? So, so don't knock it. Don't
Yeah.
knock it.
Yeah.
There are songs that are eternal that everybody will be able to remember the chorus of, or even the opening line in this case, forever.
This is but this is what drew me to song music, because I was listening to Cabaret Voltaire, and then I'm listening to Anne Peebles and Martha Reeves or whatever, and I'm like, how do you put the two together? It shouldn't really work. And I guess I'll that's what I tried, at least.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, some records I made, I succeeded in doing something decent, and I think other experiments maybe didn't work so well.
Exactly. Well,
So
but that's the same for everyone, I think. But what I love is the difference for me between an artist, or somebody with an artistic intention. It's not really an intention even. It's like you feel compelled to do certain things, right? It's like you talking about,
it's like,
oh, well, one day or one week I just thought, I want to do 4 albums, all kind of connected around a certain theme, but they'll all be connected. It's like creating a little cinematic universe, right? And I think that's the mark of an artist. Whereas the mark of just a creator who's maybe chasing commercial success is they regard themselves more as craftsmen, and I can always smell a difference between those two things.
you can I can do it in 1 second as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. Okay, so let me have a look. You're Loving Your Arms, great tune. Congratulations. Lovely melody, beautifully performed. Um, and you did lots of oh, I love this. Somebody called you like Cilla Black on acid. I loved that.
I know. I think I remember that, actually. Yeah. So
Who said that?
it was. What was it? I think she was an NME writer.
Oh yeah, Ed Maru is a bit hard.
Barbara Allen.
Oh yeah, that rings a bell. That rings a bell. Yeah. And so Electribe 101. I mean, we met around about that time, right? Because we were kind of skirting around the idea of maybe me doing some work with you and stuff. And to be honest, I can't remember why it never happened. I came to visit you, right? And
I think we went to Groucho's. Did we? I think we went to Groucho's. I'm not sure, but I think we did.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it never happened. I don't know. Some things just don't. But I've always liked your stuff, and I liked Electribe 101. And of course, the whole house thing came along, and that was that's what you hitched your wagon to, right? Because that was what was happening in that period.
Yeah.
And did you perform a lot of kind of raves and in the TAs?
No, we did a bunch of gigs and a tour.
Right.
And we did some festivals and stuff like that. This amazing video just appeared on YouTube of one of our best gigs, which just miraculously appeared on YouTube. So I'm thrilled. I never thought, it was a festival.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, but I don't think we fitted raves very well. We did like Soul Weekenders even, and people were like, yeah, and people were like, bloody hell, who are they? What and we did a tour with IG magazine too, up north. So that's the beginning of us. And then we did some gigs and some festivals and a small tour, I think. And that was
managed by Tom Watkins at that point.
For a while, yeah.
So how did that work out?
Not good.
Why not?
Well, I mean, he was a weird guy in those days. I don't know if he changed his ways later in life, but he was kind of intent to destroy the group, trying to put intrigue between us and stuff.
He was very
So he did some stuff which we didn't understand. And as a young woman coming to England and then being faced with this guy screaming at you, saying, if you don't do as I say, you will never make another record in life, So I had all that going on, and he tried to pull us apart. So I could literally, I've recently jokingly said it's one for my eight-part Netflix series, literally. It was horrible. And then there was some things where we weren't happy. I guess the guys in the group said, look, he's doing stuff with our money and we're not happy about it. And so we got rid of him.
Good. I think you did the right thing.
And I think he had some good ideas, initially, because we were like, I think the groups he signed, they were like play toys to him. He just wanted to dress them up in a way, and have them make some expensive videos in the way he wanted them to do. But then I came along saying, well, but I want to make a different video, really. And then, of course, then I was the bad guy, and I had to be sacked from the group, and that's.
Oh my God. I've been through that, don't worry.
Tried to get rid of me, and there was all this kind of shit going on, and and I was too young to really know what to think about all that, But I mean, he did have some good ideas, and he did sort of catapult us from being on the shelf of the record company to being a priority for 5 minutes, So it was like okay for a while.
Yeah. Okay. You did some stuff with Dave Ball, is that right?
Yeah, a few times. The Grid produced Your Loving Arms with me.
Right.
So they were the producers. And then I worked with them on my 4 Ambient Tales, was produced by the Grid as well.
Beautiful.
And then I teamed up again with Dave Ball to do some other stuff later. And yeah.
He's a nice guy, isn't he?
He's beautiful.
Yeah,
wonderful person.
So I met him, strangely enough, for the first time when I did the podcast earlier this year.
Wow.
And although our paths had never crossed, it's really weird. And we got on like a house on fire. And I said to him, we should do a collaboration together. We should do, because we found out during the interview that we're both massive Northern Soul fans.
Wow.
I mean, I used to go to, Weekend Casino and Twisted Wheel and all that stuff. So, and he used to DJ at some of those things. And I said, look, obviously that's where Tainted Love came from.
Right.
That idea.
Yeah.
So why don't we just do an electronic Northern Soul project together?
Yeah, wow.
And we're looking for singers. So would you be one of the singers? You do one of the tracks for us. There's 4 tracks we're working on currently.
Oh, 4 tracks. You should do an album.
No, I haven't got time for it. I've got some other stuff going on at the moment. But I like the idea of just doing this kind of snapshot of an idea. So yeah. So would you'd be happy to do write a top line for one of the tracks, perhaps?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Oh, so it's not going to be cover versions, right? You're not going to do cover
versions. No. The new songs are knocking into kind of an arrangement shape.
Nice. Yeah.
And you just write anything you want over them, and we'll.
No worries. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. All right. You've heard it here first. World Extinction. Okay. Now what else have we got to ask you about? So, 2008, The Opiates. What was all that about?
Oh, it was me and Robert Solheim, who lives partly in Spain and partly in Norway. And I think I just sort of discovered his music online somewhere, it's quite ambient, what he was doing at the time. And I thought, I always wanted to do another ambient record. So we got talking and then decided, no, fuck that, no ambient, let's do some pop music or whatever, So, and then again, we went through that process that I described of writing songs, where I sort of told him a bit about what I was looking for. And then he would actually send me songs, which nowadays I don't do long distance work. I just need to get in a room with.
I agree completely. I'm so over the kind of remote. Look, sometimes you have to do that, but
I know, but with Robert, he's so talented that he would literally send me these backing tracks, which would just work for my whole song arrangement, And then I went to Spain and we mixed the album together. So
right. And so where are you based now?
I'm in Berlin.
Right.
But really my whole work is based in the UK, so, But I record a lot in Eastern Europe because they have some great recording studios there. So I record in Czech Republic a lot, and I'm going to Macedonia soon to record a string orchestra for one of my albums. So I've discovered Eastern Europe, and they have beautiful studios there,
Yeah.
which are also affordable.
Yeah, fantastic. And the musicians and the orchestras, right?
Right.
If you're doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that title, Hollywood Under the Knife, by the way. What inspired that?
Oh, a dancer I worked with. He's in some of my really old videos.
Right.
He said that to me once, and I don't know what we talked about at the time. We were always making up things and sharing inspiration, and it was something. And one day he just said to me, "Hollywood Under the Knife," and it just stuck.
Right.
And of course it's about the obvious Hollywood Under the Knife as surgery, but it's also about Hollywood in general under the knife of this life that they've built themselves there.
What do you think about Hollywood? What do you think about Los Angeles? You've been there.
I love Los Angeles. Whenever I went there, I found it, I loved it, as a city and as a quality of life and all that. And but in terms of Hollywood, I'm basically not interested. To me, it's like this culture which has no real relationship of real life. What would matter to ordinary people, and I don't give a fuck what dresses they wear.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested.
It's like, sorry, but I don't care.
LA is like, to me, is like anti-soul. It's like the most soulless, apart from Dubai. It's the most soulless place I've ever been.
Right.
Okay, you supported Erasure and Depeche Mode, and that's correct. And
we did one.
Oh, hold on, I've lost you. I've lost your sound.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's right. That's weird. It's when.
Yeah, we did. Let me check my internet.
No, it's fine now. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In case I go, I call you back. So sometimes I have. We did Milton Keynes Bowl with Erasure, just the one gig, which was wonderful, and people still talk about it today because it was such a nice afternoon, for everybody there. And then we did the European tour with Depeche Mode, the Violation tour.
Oh, right. That must have been interesting. Tell me about those guys, because I don't really know anything about them. Literally.
About the gigs.
Yeah. I mean, the guys themselves.
Yeah, it was a difficult time in their lives as a group because Dave had his problems at the time. He was unwell,
Yeah.
And so he was really separate from the group. And he was fearing that they'd sack him.
Really?
And so they didn't talk really,
Oh, that's so sad.
So so they would put on these great shows, and Dave, going for it, giving 1000%. And then he would sort of come off stage, sitting on his own, eating with the roadies, and
so sad.
So it was we were sad, but I mean they were all really nice guys, and they were really supportive of us because we were bottled off stage every night, but
really
by this sort of army of mode heads, it was horrible. And
what I've noticed, I can't, for some reason I find it hard to relate to Depeche Mode, and it's just people have different preferences. It's not a deal.
Yeah, I
get some fearsome stick for not liking Depeche Mode from Depeche Mode fans.
It's a religion. It's if you come to Germany and you say like I don't relate to Depeche Mode, people are like, what are you talking about? I mean, it was like, yeah. So in those days, people, I guess their fans were younger. They were hardcore. They just didn't want to see support groups,
Really?
So it was horrible, but it was not something that, part two in my eight part Netflix series. You know, it was horrible. But they, you know, I do love their music, and I always have. You know, so it was a good thing and a bad thing, you know. And then when we came back to England to do Wembley and do the NEC in Birmingham and all these places, you know, we were really loved because people there knew us and they wanted to see us and they wanted to hear us, you know. So it was kind of like going back to civilization suddenly, you know.
Yeah, do you get how do you feel about performing? Do you get really nervous? Some people.
No, never. Because I don't like working in recording studios. That's where I'm nervous.
Is it?
I'm a nervous maniac in recording studios, and I hate the whole thing. And live is my thing. I mean, I could literally go out, and I have done, and I'm in front of 10,000 people, and the PA breaks down, and there's no sound. I'll sing an a cappella tune and have a laugh with the audience, and I'll have them all sing. You know, I don't care what happens. You know, if the sound is bad, if, you know, something goes wrong or something, I'll just make a joke about it and I laugh with the audience and I'll make it work.
So you're a natural performer.
My voice just carries at any gig. It just you know, it. And I recently did an unplugged gig of BRM sings the classics, you know, singing Electribe, and it was in Newcastle, where, you know, Newcastle people like to party.
Oh, you could say that, yeah.
And here I am with an unplugged gig, you know, and a sold out venue, and I said to the audience, look, you know, this might not be the knees up that you're looking for, you know, because it's going to be just keyboards and vocal. And they were like, oh, no problem, you know. And then I mean, they literally, the minute they heard the keyboard guy play the bass lines, they was singing along, you know, and we just had a laugh, and it was totally a party. And they didn't care what it was, you know, and my voice they were just there to hear my voice. And the keyboard guy is so great. Pete Byrne, his name is, he played the bass lines as well as the keyboards at the same time. Like, I don't know how anyone can do that.
That's really
so people had that recognizable thing, you know, and so it was amazing.
fantastic.
So I can do any gig, and my voice will just carry it. You know?
Yeah, I've got I've got a brief funny story which I should tell you. It's funny about Newcastle. I was up there doing a kind of, it was a tour demonstrating our 3D sound system called Future of Sound, and we had all these artists doing 15-minute slots of imagining what this is going to be used for in the future. And anyway, at the Sage, you know, the Sage in Gateshead, and we got there a bit early, and I was staying down by the docks. And I thought, well, you know, I got an hour before sound check. I thought, I'll just go for a walk around town. This was on a Friday afternoon.
I know what's coming.
Wow. So I just walked up the hill into the town, onto the main street, and there was a hotel I passed, and 12 women came out of the hotel with pink T-shirts, and obviously a hen party of some description. And they'd all wear the same T-shirt, and it said "Tits Oot for the lads," right? And the first thing they did was all of them flash me as I'm walking around town, and I'm going, I felt kind of, it's a weird feeling. It must be what a lot of women feel about a gang of lads. You know, I felt they have sexual power, right?
They do. I know my keyboard player, when we did the gig at the venue, is called Hoochie Coochie.
Right.
And it's a fabulous venue. You have to go there when you're in Newcastle. It's a soul music venue. Right. And anyway, and my keyboard player kind of disappeared after the gig, you know, and I was like, where is he? He's not in the dressing room, you know.
Oh no.
And he kind of so I went out there looking for him, and he was surrounded by women, and he was snogging all these women and everything else. And he's this really shy guy, but they all threw themselves.
Oh, they will. They
are loose up there.
They will. Yeah, I think that's the word I'm looking for. And then directly after that, this is still before the sound check, about 4 o'clock. I thought I'll just pop into this bar. Turned out to be like a 3,000 capacity mega pub. And there were
Right.
literally girls dancing on the tables at 4 in the afternoon. And I'm going,
Oh my God.
this is crazy shit. What's it going to be like?
Though.
Yeah, Newcastle.
Love it. We went out for a meal after the gig, which would have been once I'd found the keyboard player, we all went at 3 o'clock in the morning. We went to an Indian restaurant that was still willing to serve us, and the people I just got to know everybody, and like I made instant friends.
Yeah,
And, that's what they're like up there. They're beautiful people.
it's beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So this is it's all been fun, but this is the extra fun bit, the kind of smash hits questions, which I ask everyone. So, what's your favorite film?
The Tenant by Roman Polanski.
Interesting. That's a really good film, actually. And nobody said that one before. What is it about that film that
It's his story of isolation, how someone who doesn't fit into the rules of behavior of society goes through to the point of going completely insane.
he did several films like that, right? He did
Yeah, he did.
Repulsion as well, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Which frightened me to death when I was a kid.
Yeah. So you don't know, he was a bit off from the start of the story, he's a bit off. He doesn't fit in.
Yeah.
And, you never know quite what is real and what is he making up, but he's losing the plot as he goes along through the story, and he's trying to make sense of it, but he just, so, and he's isolated. Like whoever he turns to for answers, they sort of don't know what he's talking about, So he sees the neighbors as these, horrific monsters that want to kill him because they killed the previous tenant.
Yeah.
And so on. So he goes deeper and deeper into that narrative,
Wow.
and I relate.
I'm not going to live with you then. So, what's your favorite TV show?
I didn't hear you then. What did you
Sorry, what's your favorite TV show? Or it doesn't have to be current. It could be
as in entertainment or any TV? Because now they do all anything.
I know it's a broad definition, but what first thing that pops into your head?
Miss Emma Peel, not the
The Avengers.
The Avengers, sorry. Yeah, the Avengers.
That was the great she was gorgeous, wasn't she?
My idol.
Oh my God. Those photos of her that keep popping up occasionally of her in all those geometric kind of A-line mini japes. Oh my God.
If you look at that concert that's just popped up on YouTube, that lost concert of Electribe 101, you can see I'm dressing the same and I'm trying to do that thing,
Oh, go and have a look at that.
You're my best Emma Peel.
Okay, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is one of them.
Great book.
But also Keith Richards' autobiography, and also another favorite movie. I need to mention this, because they're both on the same level for me. Is Last Tango in Paris.
Yeah, very interesting.
And the actual script for Last Tango in Paris is what a lot of my songs are based on. That's and one of my albums that we didn't get to talk about today is actually based around all of that kind of French film soundtrack thing. And Last Tango in Paris, the script is also one of my favorite books.
And what's the album going to be called? Have you decided?
That one? Oh, I shouldn't. I can't say. I need to keep this a secret because that album, the one about all the French, it has some French cover versions on that too, some in English. I'm keeping it under wraps. I'm so excited about it. I just want to come out with the title when I'm ready.
Oh, we like mystery, don't we? Fine. an epiphanal moment in your life, a moment where you had a moment of light bulb realization about something, or
Oh,
a handbrake turn.
so not a musical moment, right? Not like I heard
It can be anything. It can be anything.
anything. I mean, listen. Okay, so I'm a small child, and I'm listening to Daniel by Elton John on the radio, little transistor radio, and I remember it. I'm lying on my stomach. I'm listening to the chart, whatever chart show was on, and Elton John's voice and that song. And the song ended, and something in me just went again, and went to my grandmother and said, "I need a record player, and I need that record." And she went out with me, and
I
she
need a
bought it.
recording studio. I need a band.
Yeah. So Elton John changed my life, and
Really?
people who don't get Elton John, they don't even probably know his classic albums, the early stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't get that when people get. I don't get it when people don't get it.
Okay. So, next question is, which leads into from what you just said, is other musicians or musical artists favorite or one
Favorite.
most favorite.
Okay. I'm just gonna be. There's so many. There's
Well,
so. I mean, like
we can put caveats on it.
like on Monday, I will tell you a different
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
I just, you know what I mean. I every day I listen to stuff saying this is definitely the best thing I've ever heard. So like this week, it's definitely Curtis Mayfield.
Oh my God, my favorite.
I mean, there's this song called Ride On for the Darkness, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, this needs to be a cover version of mine, I just need it.
Yeah.
And then there's Bobby Womack, across 110th Street.
Yeah.
Really, I'm really liking some Tom York stuff, Tom York in the Basement, Blind Willie Johnson.
I don't really know.
He kind of gospel, just him and a guitar. Check him out, man. Amazing. But then I've got this new favorite, Pan American.
Pan American.
Isn't it? Yeah. He goes under the name of Pan American. So check them. So it's like every day I'll literally have new people that.
These are tips for obviously the listeners. The number of emails I get thanking me for all the tips from all the artists, because that's what they really want, is like some kind of guidance. This vast array of music that we have access to now, they need guidance. Are you interested in visual art at all?
I am to a degree. I'm really interested in. I mean, almost like Wolfgang Tillmans style,
Right.
where you almost leave it as you find it. Is that Andy Warholian, my dear? You don't move the camera unless you really have to,
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's what I do now when I go out and I do my little, videos. I'm interested in that kind of art, which is so deeply personal, where you just point a camera at something, and you watch it evolve, which is what Warhol did,
Yeah, of course.
So
I
that's,
suppose you'd say to Warhol, really, aren't you?
yeah, well, yeah, and I know Wolfgang Tillmans would probably he's actually somebody I got to know personally. He would probably correct me when I say, he's maybe inspired by that too, but I think he is, where it's almost like, oh, how did that happen? Someone just pointed the camera at it,
Oh, interesting. I love that. And that's like a metaphor for kind of analyzing meaning in songwriting, possibly as well. Like how you see the world is affected by that kind of thing. Okay. Which of your own work do you like best?
As an album or song?
Yes, whichever.
Could be anything. Well, one of my favorite songs of mine is Systems of Silence.
Right, right, right.
And I think that kind of worked.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it kind of worked well. But I mean, there's a few. Well, maybe that one, but I don't know if it's the number one fit because I think a few worked out okay, you know, and those are the ones that I maybe like best.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So where are we? So if you weren't, and it sounds like I don't know how you can answer this, but if it seems like you wanted to be, and you were destined to be a musician from the very outset. But if in an alternate universe, what do you think? Is there any other kind of careers that you might have considered?
No.
Okay. Okay, that's a good question. I like it though. Okay, and final question. What's your favorite synth?
Shit. Oh God. I don't know if I could name one because it's so funny. I work in all these vintage studios right now, and I use whatever beta chip from the 70s they have. I'm like, you know, so I always say, what happens when you switch that on? What does it do?
Right.
It'll be some sort of 1970s Russian thing or some sort of 1970s organy type, you know, thing. Or it might be a mellotron or, you know, something that you just switch it on. You don't know what it's called or what it does, but if it
It's a
makes
vintage vibe, right?
a vintage vibe. Yeah.
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 Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Listen, Billie Ray, it's been an absolute pleasure. What a fantastic interview that was.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you.
And so I'm going to contact you separately about this project with Dave Ball,
Sounds
and you'll be in good company because I'm sure I'll manage to get some other really good singers on it as well. And I hope that the new, which is the first of the new albums that will reach the light of day, do you think?
It'll either be Gezeitenraum or the one that I'm not naming.
Not telling me this one, Flo. Okay.
Call it
Well,
I call it the French one, so people could call it the French one.
French one, right? It's a good
Yeah.
sound, right? Everybody should keep an eye out for those because. Oh, and the other thing was, sorry, I forgot to mention this. I was listening to Electribal Soul. There's like it's been redone or something, wasn't it? And I was listening to the whole thing, and it's just great. I know it's from way back in it, but I just love it.
Thank you
And
so
it's
much.
so beautifully elegant and melodic, and yeah, well done anyway. From
Thank you so much.
no, really good. Anyway, look forward to seeing you at some point in the flesh. Who
Yes.
knows? You can come to my studio and record the vocals there if you want.
Yeah. I'll come see. Yeah. See you later.
All right, darling. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.